Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Sorry we're a little bit late, guys. We were just getting everything sorted. We had a little bit of a technical issue this morning, but all sorted now. Ray, how's it going?
Going well. GM. Lot of volume yesterday, a lot of news to cover. Really excited to be here and chat through it all with you.
Absolutely. Welcome everyone to the 16th episode of the WGMI Morning Show, where we give you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less, using some of WGMI's various insights and tools to give you that context to hopefully help you make some money. If you like what you see, if you like some of the tools that you're seeing, feel free to DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trials to use some of our tools. We give one trial away every single show. Some of the bigger stories in the NFT market yesterday was we had Seedphrase with another massive sweep on Creeps and Wolf Game Land. This was just days after his 980 ETH punk sale. On Monday, we were talking a little bit about that, and it seems like it came in hot once again. Clone-tober has started and is in full swing. Story mode was announced yesterday for clones. We'll break down a little bit of how the market has reacted to that. And OpenSea has made another improvement to their marketplace, allowing you to bulk list and sell. So lots of stuff to cover there, but we will jump right into the market report. This is brought to you by WGMI's. Once again, let me pull this up. This is brought to you by WGMI Newsroom. This is our official newsroom account. We bring you some of the news that populates our news feed here. As you can see, yesterday we had 11.3 million in OpenSea volume. ETH is sitting at 1321. It hasn't really been doing much for the last week or so. It's been kind of chopping there, which typically is good for NFTs. We had Renga come in first, as it has been last week or so, with 403 ETH in volume. We have Clone-tober coming in second with 390 ETH in volume, and then Kitaro World still holding up in terms of volume and sales, but that floor price has been dropping a little bit. It's down to 0.19 ETH, but still doing 265 ETH in volume. Ray, any big takeaways for you as you check out this market report, this dashboard? Does anything stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, we did see Renga pull back a bit. I think we expected that. We called that a bit yesterday. I was looking at a local top there. Interesting to see, a lot of these mid chips kind of all fighting in there. The Renga, Kitaro World. We saw the Gangster All Stars move a bit. We saw the CloneX finally give a bit of a run. We'll see if that sustains as we get more news about the story mode that has now been activated over there. Lots of interesting things to dive into, see how the news relates to it, see what's been moving. I was looking at kind of Gangster All Stars versus Renga. I know that was a comparison we had made before. Similar mechanics, similar art, front-facing PFP, similar art style. They both have the box reveals that you can kind of reveal at your leisure. So the boxes are a deflationary supply for each of those collections. Was looking at a bit of the graphing for those collections and seeing how they've been playing against each other, which has been interesting to watch, looking at both floor and number of listings for those two collections. One of the things, I'm doing more and more on our site using this custom chart creator to compare different projects that may seem similar. Looking at the floors, you see in the blue here, Renga, we've separated out the data set so we can kind of see how they move on their own scale, see how they've been moving. Renga does have a higher floor, but just looking at these graphs here, they're normalized to each other. We've seen Gangster All Stars, proportionally has been rising a bit more over the last couple of days as Renga has kind of found that top. The listings have continued to go down for the Gangster All Stars. Get Renga out of here. So we're looking at in the purple, the listings for Gangster All Stars, they've been going down as the floor price has been going up over the last 2 days. So we are seeing that buy side volume come in. We are seeing a lower supply, less listings at the floor, less undercuts, and that's leading to that higher floor price. I think we're sitting around 0.5 now. I think we were at around 0.4 yesterday. The unrevealed boxes are at 0.8. We can also chart that trait specific information on our site as well. If you have our premium tool, you can go on our profile page and track the specific trait data for our collections as well. So I'd be able to track the Gangster All Star traits versus their collection floor. But interesting to look at. I'm going to keep I'm still holding one. I've sold most of mine on this initial pump up on the second here. And then still looking to see, what is going to happen. Do we find a local top or are they going to continue to run? If these listings keep dropping, I may jump back in and speculate that, hey, this may run up to 1 ETH. This may take some of that Renga exit liquidity and move into this project.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is certainly encouraging, Ray. You see that, yeah, they're up 0.32. This seems like when you had gotten out, this little 0.32 pump to up to they're up to 0.52. I know yesterday they were at 0.4, so they're still starting to move, and it is encouraging to see always when the listings go down, even when the price is going up. So it seems like people are finally they have these kind of momentums and these supply shocks that happen that can cause the price to go up. But as we can, as long as the listings continue to go down, and with this volume, I don't see them being able to stop. But I'll let you take it from here, Ray. I know we have some news to cover, so I'll let you get straight to it whenever you are ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopping into the news feed brought to you by WGMI.io, where we bring you all of the most relevant news for your portfolio and industry wide. You can filter down our news feed to just holdings that you own, stay up to date on all the projects you own. Be sure to capture the most utility, the most claims, raffles, airdrops. Make the most out of your holdings while you're sitting on your bags. And if you choose, you can see all news. We provide a filter that allows you to look at all news across all projects that we cover over at WGMI. Jumping in here, we have Imaginary Ones with their Hugo Boss allow list. We talked about this a bit yesterday. There's going to be an allow list to get in on this mint in the Hugo Boss Imaginary Ones Discord. They sent out a tweet regarding this, and I was looking a bit at the Hugo Boss project, or Twitter itself, and it was definitely encouraging to see. The top tweet on their account as a Web2 company is a Web3 NFT tweet. I know this is something you look at a lot for, really trying to gauge how much these Web2 companies are buying into the Web3 world, Clemente. I don't know if you have any more to add here.
That is very impressive to me, actually. I love that. I'm curious. I always like looking at the core, and that's what made me actually excited yesterday about the VeeFriends announcement, because Macy's, Toys R Us were both tweeting it, and it was getting a lot of traction there. So it kind of shows like, hey, what kind of pull do these Web3 companies have? VeeFriends has some, but also Imaginary Ones. This is very encouraging to see, to be honest with you. And I love that Imaginary Ones was able to get that kind of push and get Hugo Boss to post something like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's the first time I'm seeing this VeeFriends video from yesterday. Definitely.
No, it was cool. It was cool. I think they did a good job on it. $30. We'll see how they do, but I'm looking forward to people buying these and seeing what people's thoughts are on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you do hold Imaginary One, make sure you join that Hugo Boss Imaginary One Discord. We have all the links here on our newsfeed. Breaking news this morning reported to us by Red Sox guy. Cool Cats partners with Animoca Brands. It's a strategic investment coming from them. They're the gaming company. They're involved with Yuga Labs. Definitely interesting to see this. Cool Cats does have Cooltopia, that game over on their side. Interesting to see, how this, pushes forward their vision jumping into the gaming world. I'm sure Red Sox will have a deeper breakdown on what this could entail. We'll try to get him on our market talk on Friday, if not earlier, to discuss this a little bit more. Love to hear what he has to say. One of our curators who are ecosystem experts, providing you the news within the news for our curated ecosystems.
One of the things I'm curious about on Cool Cats there, I know Steven Taglass, I think is his last name, the CEO, announced during the Twitter Spaces 2 weeks ago that in the next 30 days, they would announce a strategic partnership that would really talk about and show what their intentions are for the a lot of time going forward. So I'm wondering if this is what they're talking about as far as the strategic investment, and then possibly seems like they're doubling back down into this gaming world.
Yeah, definitely see a quote from Teglos here talking about it, looking that they're excited about the partnership. I mean, it may seem that they're doubling down on the gaming as their entryway into, mainstream branding, trying to get that cat being, universally known as gaming, their main vertical to get there. I'm not sure, but I mean, this sort of investment, would lead one to think that could be the case. Moving on, though, so there's a dojo bounty placed on a shadowy warrior's head in the Chimpers universe. There's a little bit of bonus XP if you battle and defeat that warrior. Keep an eye on that if you're a Chimpers holder. We talked a bit about that Seedphrase Sweep on the Creeps Genesis here. I looked a bit at his wallet, what he's been buying, and what he owns. Let me load up his wallet here. He has a fairly large wallet with a decent amount of assets. He's got a high worth. We saw him sell the CryptoPunk, both CryptoPunks over the last 7 days with some big sweeps afterwards. Once I load up that wallet, we'll take a deeper look inside of that asset there. I know he's in Wolfgame Land. He's in. Wish this would load here. I had it up earlier, and we had all those technical difficulties, made it a bit tricky. But I know he did sweep Wolfgame Land as well, and he did sweep Creeps prior to this. I don't know if you're paying attention to any of that, so I'm curious to look into his assets and see what has he invested in the past that he may jump into again in the future.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was surprised, and we were talking about this yesterday. Once that sweep came through, was hey, what's he gonna do now that we know exactly what happened, what he did last time. He got a big sale from his punk and he got some liquidity. What's he going to do now going forward? And he did go in and sweep these Wolf games. I believe it was 50 Wolf games and 50 Wolf game land. And the exact numbers are he swept 51 Wolf game lands and 72 creeps. So really moving big in on those creeps, and especially with these Creeps Genesis, because you can stake them for Lumi. They only have about 2% listed. So anytime there are these big sweeps, these big movements that step in, it does move the floor a lot. But obviously, as the market reacts to it, more listings will come in and you will see that kind of reaction. But he's got definitely some big purchases that have been made, and I'm sure those will continue as hopefully Sweeptober continues to play out over time.
Yeah, definitely. And it looked like I had the wrong wallet inputted into our site from that link.
Well, why don't we do this way? So I know you talk a lot of smack about my Wi-Fi, but I do have this ready here. This is breaking news. My Wi-Fi is faster than Ray's. This is Seedphrase's, one of his wallets, the one he purchased with recently. As you can tell, he's got up to 163 creeps now, 26 minutes, 104 Wolf game land. A lot of money going into this, which is kind of crazy to see pull out. But I mean, yes, on Friday's big sweep, he put in about 180 ETH. This is probably about the same. So you're looking at maybe 20 to 25 percent, if I'm doing my math right, of his wallet is actually going into some of these sweeps. So he still has so much more capital left. If he puts in 330 ETH and he just sold one of his punks for 3,300 ETH. No, I'm totally wrong.
Yeah, bring up his asset pie chart. Oh, you can see. Nice. I know that the Creeps is he made that huge sweep. Look how small of an asset that is compared to his other holdings. The autoglyphs and the punks there. It's wild how much he still has locked up in those collections and where he could potentially capitalize if he does choose to sell those assets. Also, I jumped into his history tab. If you want to jump over there for me, Clemente, on the on WGMI. Just looking at the size of the sweeps and their timing. We have wallet history now where you can not only look up your own history, see other people's history, see all the sweeps. You can see all the land he swept, all the creeps, and we can go back a bit to take a look at some of the other sweeps he made. I think in late September he had some more of those creeps and more wolf game land purchases. So definitely another aspect I check out when I'm looking into some of these bigger wallets, see what they've been buying. I can filter it by purchases. I can filter it by purchases over a certain amount. So these are all different tools I'll look at here to, filter down, see what they've been buying, see what they may be buying, especially some of these market movers like Seedphrase.
What I like is you can also go, okay, like let's say this punk sale was on September 30th. I want to see only the purchase that he's made after this punk purchase, which is cool. And then it only brings you those specific purchases. And it filters that. So I like seeing these kinds of things. And Dickens is saying, are his past holdings going to be indicative of what's going to happen going forward? I do believe like he was very bullish on creeps beforehand, and then he continues to add on to his positions. So as far as the floor price for these going forward, people might be starting to speculate on and doing the same thing that we're doing now. Like, hey, what's he going to go to next? Is he going to keep going to these, or is he going to diversify a little bit? But it is definitely once you see these big monies go into it and seeing how the market reacts to it, it definitely makes them more bullish. It's kind of like the traditional financial markets, right? When you see a Goldman Sachs come in and buy in or add on to their position of a certain stock or change their price prediction for it, it can definitely move the market a lot, which is interesting to see play out.
Yeah, I know two other assets he has purchased in the past: Party Degenerates and Rug Radio. He's got 47 and 50 of those respectively. If he looks to add to those positions, that could be a place where he may be adding as well. Interesting to see for sure there. I'm sure creeps holders are happy seeing that investment and that confidence in the project from Seedphrase, somebody who is a large investor and has been very successful in his investments in the space. Moving on a bit, Bud Light announces a NFT NFL Survivor game. Cool to see Bud Light continue to jump into the space. I need to have my ID check there to get in. But NFT cans essentially are going to be bought, and you can use these as entry passes into a weekly NFL Survivor, where you pick a winner and you have a chance to win prizes. You build a streak. You can buy back. I think it's like whoever has the longest streak wins some prizes at the end of the year. Cool to see, these Web2 companies and combining it a bit with sports and gambling, I think is, kind of the target NFT market right now. Good to see that they're capitalizing on it. Good to see movement there. We had a token split announced for Metroverse, 100-to-1 split for the Met token. If you are a Metroverse holder or you're holding that token, make sure you take a look at their Discord, see the reasoning behind that, and what will exactly be involved. If there's any action you need to take, we will keep you up to date on that. CyberKongs has some news coming from OpenSea. They've merged their Polygon and ETH collections into a single collection, making it convenient for potential buyers to buy in. Don't have to go to different places. There's a lot less confusion. I think we're going to see more of this. It's nice to see OpenSea has been, quietly building a lot of functionality. We'll get to more of that later, but they've been, building a lot of infrastructure, making a lot of small tweaks to the site that have really improved the experience, and I think will help the experience as we onboard more and more users. Big news, we saw the story teaser for Artifact for the CloneX story mode. They released this tweet yesterday afternoon. Looking at this, we see this little unidentified red object heading for some sort of solar system. This writing is too small for me to read. I'm sure we have somebody who's going to pick that apart and dive deeper into that. But, it's saying story mode engaged. There are 3 flashing words down here. Could be 3 potential chapters. Interesting to see this. Is it going to be some sort of quest-like system, like 10KTF? Could it potentially be something a bit different? How is it going to work? How are the clones going to benefit? What kind of rewards might there be?
What I will, and it was cool, but what I will say is the market has reacted positively to Clonetober so far. Yesterday was just another positive price. But what was interesting though was when that was announced, I was able to catch it like 5 minutes into that video being posted on Twitter. The market didn't really react too much, and it wasn't until about an hour later that some of the sales and money started going into it. It's kind of like that game of chicken of like, you're like, hey, is anyone else going to jump into this? And then once you see them going into it, it gives you enough confidence to bring that momentum forward. That was interesting to play out, though. We saw 44 sales yesterday, 400 ETH deployed into Clone X and that price action happened. Started Clonetober at 6.7 ETH floor. Now it is at 7.4 with listings continuing to go down. So I don't see a reason why it will stop. Something to watch for there. I think it'll continue to run a little bit until those listings go up.
Yeah, another thing I was watching, I was talking about our custom traits in terms of what we see for different projects. So I'm mapping the Murakami Drip trait on the clones here versus the Clone X floor. You can see on October 2nd, the Murakami Drip hit a local low of 8.5. And that's since really ran, that's an 11 ETH floor. Now that floor's ran 2.5 ETH over the last few days. So you're seeing that difference. This is one of the first things I check as clones move. I'm always looking at that drip to see if the clones are moving faster than that drip is, because that's a good entry point. There are going to be future benefits and rewards for holding those. And I believe it's highly speculated they're going to get a higher allocation of whatever drip token is coming to that ecosystem. Moving on from Clone X, we talked a bit about OpenSea. Here's the bigger news coming out that bulk buying and listing is now available on OpenSea. So if you go to OpenSea now, you can see a shopping cart. Like, wow, it's crazy that we have a shopping cart in a site that can buy things now. Wild. It took us a little over 2 years, I guess, since OpenSea was founded. But if you look at some of these different projects, you can jump in and you can see that you have the option to add to cart for these awesome Simp 8 Yacht Club NFTs that I own one of now. But you can add to cart. And then the one thing I noticed too when I'm completing this transaction, it's not going to bring up my MetaMask wallet, but for these three assets combined, it's under 0.01 in gas. So there's some sort of behind the scenes gas efficiency being done for this transfer of bulk assets on OpenSea. So it's making it almost more efficient than it was on Gem in terms of sweeping the same assets. So awesome front end fix.
What I am curious about is whether they took that data, because they own Gem, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm curious if they just took pretty much the software and the build out that Gem had made, and they just pretty easily integrated it into their marketplace and just made some changes to it. I am curious of that, but it is interesting to see them finally doing the things that we've been asking them to do for the last year or so. I mean, how fast they've been able to crank it out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you can see here's their interface for selling multiple assets, which is very nice as well. You list them into a cart, essentially the same way you do for buying, and then you can set different prices for different assets, quantities on ERC 1155s alongside of, the amount you want to sell for ERC 721s. Cool stuff from OpenSea. Great to see them innovating. Love what they're building over there. Moving on, we have some additional news coming out from Jenkins the Valet and Tally Labs. We saw a Medium post being posted, mea culpa, saying, hey, we screwed up. Here's why we screwed up. And taking responsibility and identifying what they thought were the root causes of the issue. They're hiring a creative director. They're setting up, a council to involve the community to fix the art. And that will be an ongoing process that will be taking place within that community with community guidance to hope to avoid any issues going forward. Good read there if you're somebody who's interested in the project or just somebody interested in what goes on behind the scenes for some of these projects.
I know you were looking at a good entry point. Are you looking after this mistake and after the floor has been sitting at below 0.3 now? Is this an entry point you're looking to eye, or are you kind of sitting on your hands for a little while longer here?
We need to add them to our dashboard, but I think I'm going to sit for a bit. I think there's going to be a period of time here, while they're redoing this art where it's going to go quiet for a while. And I think it'll pick up steam a bit before any announcement comes because I think the way it'll work is, the community is going to be so involved that the first people to really understand that, the ship's been righted and we're going in a direction that's going to make a lot of sense is the community, because they're going to be directly involved. They'll see look at the progress we've made. We're now at a point where I'm feeling more bullish. I'm not listing or I'm buying more assets. So we may see that come from the community before we see any sort of announcement. So I'll be watching the project, but I think it's going to continue to trade sideways for a bit as they do kind of work on this change in direction. Moving on to Fluff World, they had a bit of utility for their new project Thingies being announced. Apparently, I'm not very close in with this project myself, so I could be saying things that are wrong here. But from what I understand, these Thingies are NFTs that will be creating new NFTs. Like they're going to be generating like AI art. So it's like an AI generated NFT that's going to be perpetually generating new AI art. So I think this thing over here is the Thingy, and this is something that it has generated via, an AI art program. And not only do you own this, all the art that it generates, you own as well. And they'll be like usable in the Fluff World. You can put them, in your burrow and some other different things with that. And you can also sell them, I believe, on marketplaces. They explain in this thread. But cool little bit that I learned from using the newsfeed. I tend to look at all news. I look through all the projects, all the news that's coming in, and my knowledge of the NFT space, is enhanced. You get 15 to 20 articles a day coming out across all these ecosystems. You are gaining a good breadth of knowledge, and you do have a good understanding when the market moves. Hey, what projects have been building? What can I jump into? Something that's definitely a benefit of using this newsfeed. Moving on to Huxley, they're going to be closing their issue 4 minting on Friday. There's about 1,600 comics left of the 10,000 supply. This is the only one that hasn't sold out. Issues 1, 2, and 3. 1 took a bit of time to sell out. 2 took a bit of time, and when it finally gained momentum, there was a huge run on Huxley, and then it continued in issue 3. Issue 3 is an instant sellout. Issue 4 here saw a bit of a slow release. They've been trying to tease different benefits to minting. They haven't minted out. The floor is trading below mint price right now. There are still some benefits to minting. Like there's a chance to win different Huxley assets. But this is one collection. I'm invested in it, not as much as I was before in the comic side. I do have a couple of the avatars, but it's one that there aren't many listings for the size of the collection. We're looking at 0.6% listed, but there just isn't a lot of outside volume, as there hasn't been a lot of big catalysts that have really shaken the NFT world in general. So one to be watching for here. The supply on issue 4 is likely to end up lower than the others, as I don't think it's going to mint out. It would take a decent amount of work on secondary to go through these to pull up the floor of the red issue 1s all the way up to 0.1. But if you do want a chance at some of those extra minting benefits, for sure take a look at Huxley. I think they have all the benefits in their Discord as well. On the OpenSea side, again, we have another drop. Probably Nothing and Warner Records are creating a Web3 music label, and that is launching, I believe, tomorrow. So when you go to the OpenSea home site, you are greeted by probably a label mixtape here. I don't know too much about this drop. There's more information on the OpenSea site. Looks like a 0.09 mint. Looks like there's an allow list on the 6th, followed by a wait list a few hours later, and then public sale, all happening on that same day. Supply of... I don't see it here, but interesting to see them continue to push these. I'll be interested to see what happens here. I believe the last one was what, OMG Kirby was the last one that dropped. Interesting to see how the success of that went in comparison. We're looking at a 0.07 floor. I don't remember the mint, but I believe it was around there or maybe above that. But it's actually, no, sorry, this isn't the project. This is the project that got you access. So I'm way off my base here. I'll stick to the script for now, and we'll get back to you on that project tomorrow. I'll be prepped and ready with the info for that previous project that released. It was OMG Kirby got you access, but that wasn't the name of the project. And
there was a good project on this, or a good thread on this OpenSea that they put out on what I think there's a few different levels of access that you can get. And yeah, it's a pretty simple thread. You can go through it, and if it's something you want to look into, if you are interested in kind of the music NFT side of things, this is a good use case. And I'm sure a lot of the outsiders looking into Web3 are going to use this as a case study. So I'm not going to be involved in it. I'm not looking to get in. I am in data gathering mode for this one, though, just watching, okay, how does it play out? What does the price action look like? Is there money that does flow into it, and how it does play out over time?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm in the same mode right now as I can't even get the other project straight. That was a music NFT coming out of OpenSea. News for Rug Radio holders. You can get on that Sabacia Salgado Amazonia pre-mint list. There's a pre-mint link from our site. So all Rug Radio holders, both Genesis and member holders, have access to that pre-mint. We link right there from our site. Some news that came out yesterday that we didn't cover was the Kim Kardashian fining by the SEC. Fined $1.26 million for shilling some shitcoin, may I say. And even though she disclosed that it was an ad and it was a paid promotion, she didn't disclose, what she was paid and the terms of the payment. And that was really where the hammer came down. So I'm sure NFT influencers, shillers who have been doing this are, maybe shaking in their boots, maybe redefining their terms for shield promotion. Definitely has an impact on our market as a whole. And we saw,
I think there's an overall net positive for the Web3 space. Can't be shilling the pump and dumps, Kim. Not good.
Yeah, they're gonna run after me for loading up my Simp Ape Yacht Club while I'm demoing OpenSea features next. I'm in trouble. Moving on a bit, we got Cool Cats merch live yesterday. You look at the Cool Cats store. There's some Halloween merch available, spooky season for the Cool Cats. Taking a look at some of this merch: coffee cups, nice little beanie, some shirts, zip up hoodie, and some baby clothes too. Very interesting to see. I think this stuff is fairly cool, on brand, but not really like super screams this is an NFT. We talked about this with the Lazy Lions. I know this is a bit more graphic and just isn't as muted, but I think it's pretty cool overall for the Cool Cats brand.
Price point solid. The thing that I'm asking myself with these kinds of drops is like, hey, does it make me, if I'm not involved in the ecosystem, does it make me want to buy it? To me, for this one, honestly, no. Seems like it was more for their holders, but if for Lazy Lions, I was like, dude, I would buy that for myself. So yeah, not really feeling this one. Seems like it was more targeted towards the holders, but yeah, that's kind of my thought process going forward with these kinds of merch drops.
Yep, similar take. I was looking at the beanie. I'm a hat guy coming into winter here. That was the one I was taking a look at, but just didn't quite speak to me enough to grab. We had an update coming from Ghost Comics. Snapshot was taken, and holders who have Comic 1 will be on the whitelist for Comic 2, minting October 8th. I saw Dingling was minting a number of Ghost assets, and I thought they were these comics, but seeing that they were minted, or they're minting on the 6th, leaves me to believe that might not be the case. See what these assets are. Use Ninja Alerts. We've partnered with Ninja Alerts at WGMI over here. We've offered a trial to our members to their site. We have one similar for their members. So a partnership we enjoy. We were on their podcast last Thursday. Me and Tom talking the market, talking about newsfeed and all those other tools. I love Ninja Alerts. Great tool. Great for wallet monitoring. If you want to get alerts when a wallet is buying a certain asset, great tool to use there. Now, it looks like these are Ghost Chapter 2. It looks like they are actively minting. I don't know if maybe Dingling has special access or what to these. But if you are a Ghost holder of Comic 1, you're involved in that snapshot, you will be able to mint that comic number 2. And coming in today, we have Art Blocks Curated. I think this one is really going to be interesting today. I think that we're going to see a sellout above the resting price. I don't think we're going to get down there, and I think we're going to see secondary action. A few indicators on this project for me. One, subjectively, I like the outputs, and I think that they're outputs that could be pleasing to many people for sure. Looking at these, I think they, have a bit of like Fidenza vibe.
Am I mistaken, or were there already 363 that have been minted?
So I'm on the staging site right now. So every Art Blocks project, they stage them on testnet, so you can run the algorithm and you can see like what some sample outputs are. Like these outputs aren't necessarily going to be minted. Actually, in fact, they almost definitely will not be. Since it's all generated at time of mint based on information around the block that's minted. So these are some test outputs. You can kind of get a feel for what the collection will look like. We link you to that. We link you to the project page. We link you to the sample page. We have the artist website here where he talks about the project a bit. We try to make it easy for you to do research on these different Art Blocks drops. And like Dickensis is saying in the crowd, this is the last of the last season. So, there's speculation that this could go for quite a bit. This is the last season of like Series 8 is the last Art Block series. And from there, they're just moving to just calling everything else coming forward curated, not giving it a series designation. So interesting to see here. Interesting to watch. Thank you for that assist, Dickenza's. And I'm definitely going to be watching this at 1 o'clock and jumping in if there is volume.
Yeah,
Sorry,
if
Tom.
I'm Harvey if
For
I'm
a half
Harvey
hour there.
Rayner, if I'm Harvey Rayner, I've got to be pretty excited about this one. And I'm because the second to last one, like you were saying, Barrett looks like it minted out at like 0.1, 0.15. And Harvey's coming in hot for this one. It seems like this will do well, much better than the last one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's it has great aesthetics as well. So interested to see what's going to happen here. I will almost 100% be participating. I'm liquid enough for this at most price points. Once I see that volume ride in, I'm going to be jumping on and speculating. So definitely excited for this. It'll tell us a bit about, where we are in the art world, where we are in volume, where that liquidity falls today and who's paying attention. So interesting there. That wraps it up for the news feed. I don't know if we have anything to add on the dashboard side, or we want to talk about any projects you may seen that have been, caught your eye.
Yeah, we've got a couple things. I'll step in here and share some things out. First thing that just popped into my head, guys, if you are involved at all or have been checking out Murakami Drip, the Air Force Ones, you're going to be looking at a really good entry point over the next week or two. What excites me and what not necessarily excites me, but what's noticeable or notable is there were 16 that were listed at 0.525 yesterday. So that is a big listing wall that we're going to have to get through. And there's only about 5 to 10, maybe max listings or purchases of these. So, and below that, automatically people were just then undercutting the floor. It's now sitting at 0.5 and the offer is sitting at 0.42. I think you're going to be able to get in below 0.4 over the next week or so. Watch that, put in some offers. If you're excited about Murakami, if you're excited about the Air Force Ones that these guys are going to be dropping, these Murakami ones, definitely look to get in at that price. I'm going to be looking to get in there for sure. I talked to a buddy of mine who's a massive sneakerhead, who's worked for some pretty big players in the sneaker game, and he could not believe that this was a drop. After talking to him for 15 minutes about this, he was asking me to help him sign up with a MetaMask, helping him get plugged in. So definitely something to get excited for there. My project of the day today is gutter clones. So when you look at their floor for the last month or so, since September 1st, you saw their high. When they pumped and when the speculation around Gangcoin and this new DNA stuff popped up, they reached a high of 0.2. They're now at the pre-pump levels, which certainly is encouraging. Listings are looking okay. They were at a high of 1680. Now they're back at 1537. They might have a little bit more room to bleed, but when you look at 0.11 for some of these, for a clone, and considering that Bank token will almost certainly be coming out at the end of the year, this seems like a great buy. Basically anytime any news comes out around Gangcoin going forward, whether it's being close to being dropped or whatever that might be, you're looking at a great buy if you're willing to hold this thing for a couple of months. Yes, the price may go down to 0.08. Yes, the price may stick around that low for a little while, but if you're comfortable and you believe in the ecosystem, I think this is a great buy for you at 0.11.
Let me jump in a bit here on that. So for the different ecosystems here, for the clones, you have cats, dogs, rats, and pigeons. We saw when that news came up and everything jumped, the cats they definitely are in a tier of their own, but the other three basically moved together and did kind of find that local top together. So the floor, like if you're looking, hey, which one do I buy? Like which one is the right asset? I think these three are all equal: dogs, cats, or dogs, pigeons, and rats. So I wouldn't make any sort of selection over the floor there necessarily. I think they'll all run up together. If you do want to speculate, there may be a disproportionate run of the actual cats over the others. If you look, you did make a bit more ETH here. You went 0.2, 0.28. I think we saw 0.3 for the cats as opposed to 0.15 to 0.2. You could make more of an ETH gain in terms of a single cat versus a single rat, dog, or pigeon. Just something to be aware of when you're entering that ecosystem. I know there are some differences there in those traits.
Yeah, love that analysis. Thank you, Ray. One of the things to be mindful of, and I am going to be watching is like, okay, how many people that are buying into this ecosystem right now are looking to buy in because of Gang Token, right? And once this thing gets dropped, how are they going to maintain this type of utility or type of attention within this ecosystem, right? After we saw Apes drop the Ape token, you saw how massive that drop was in floor price, but it did hit that Pico top. So I will be very, very interested to see how they figure that out. And if it does make sense, like if I do buy into this and I'm looking to get into it, do I sell right before or do I try to hold this Gang token? So all things to be mindful of. All I do know, Ray, is we are over time, and it seems like we are good to go. If we don't have anything else to cover, I'll let you wrap things up. But tomorrow, guys, we will see you at the same time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, for the next episode 17. So we're cranking through these, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me, Clemente. Awesome show today. Covered a ton of news, jam-packed news, data, analytics. If you like what you saw here and you want access to our site, you can mint our all-access token today, WGMI.io. To mint that, it gets you access to our portfolio tool, leading first portfolio tool, most customizable. If you really want to value your portfolio, you need to be using our portfolio tool. Let you pick which trades to value on, floors. You can set custom floors if it's an asset that may be tough to value. Edit your cost basis, look at your history, get all of that information in our portfolio tool. In addition to that, we have the news feed, all this data, analytics, custom charts. We're adding features day after day, constantly building over at WGMI.io. If you want to be part of what we are building, head over to WGMI.io and mint now. That being said, thank you for joining us. Had a great show today.